The massive chamber of the Galactic Council fell silent as Delegate Kang rose to speak. His tall, blue-skinned figure commanded attention from all 23 species present. The grand hall, with its high ceiling and star-filled windows, felt suddenly still. "We have received an application for council membership from a new spacefaring race," he announced, his deep voice echoing across the chamber. With a wave of his six-fingered hand, he projected specifications onto the massive holographic display floating in the center of the room. They called themselves humans. The display showed images of Earth, human physiology, and most importantly, their fleet details. The data scrolled through the air, visible to all council members seated in their curved arrangement around the central platform. Murmurs spread through the chamber as the council members reviewed the fleet specifications. Many leaned forward in their seats, expressions of disbelief crossing faces of all shapes and forms. 12 capital ships, that's their entire diplomatic fleet, called out Representative Mock from her position in the lower tier. Her facial tentacles quivered with amusement, the purple appendages rippling as she failed to contain her reaction. As the representative of the Doll Empire, which maintained over 500 warships, she found the human numbers absurd. Laughter rippled through the chamber, starting as small chuckles but growing into full bellows from some of the larger species. The Krontar ambassador's laugh boomed above the rest, his massive frame shaking with mirth. "Perhaps they misunderstood the application," suggested Elder Suk, wiping tears from his compound eyes with one of his 4 arms. The ancient diplomat had seen many species come and go over his 300-year career. No species could possibly hope to engage in galactic politics with such a tiny fleet. Admiral Nam, representing the militaristic June Confederation, stood from his seat. Their vessels are also remarkably small. The largest appears to be merely 1 kilometer in length. Our smallest support ships are larger. The holographic display shifted to show a comparison of fleet sizes. The human ships appeared as mere dots next to the massive armadas of established council races. "What weapons do these humans possess?" asked Minister Hai, her luminescent skin glowing with curiosity. As the only member showing any serious interest, her question temporarily quieted the room. Delegate Kang consulted his data tablet before answering. According to their application, they utilize directed energy weapons, kinetic projectiles, and nuclear-based missiles. He paused, checking the information again. No gravitic weapons, no dimensional disruption technology, not even basic reality anchors. This triggered another wave of laughter. Representative Mock's voice cut through the noise. "And they expect to be taken seriously? The pirates of the Outer Rim have better technology. Should we even waste resources evaluating them?" growled General Tay, his scaled skin flexing as he spoke. "My fleet is currently engaged in important exercises. Sending an evaluation team seems unnecessary." Delegate Kang held up his hand for silence. Despite the comedy of the situation, protocol had to be followed. "The Charter requires us to evaluate all spacefaring species that achieve faster-than-light travel," he reminded them, "no matter how limited their capabilities might be." Elder Suk nodded in agreement. Yes, we must follow procedure. However, I suggest we send only a minimal delegation. Perhaps a single diplomatic vessel should suffice." "Agreed," said Kang. "The evaluation will be brief. These humans clearly have much to learn about galactic standards." The vote was quick and unanimous. A basic evaluation team would be sent to Earth with the lowest expectations possible. The matter decided, the Council moved on to more important matters involving trade disputes between major powers. As the meeting continued, only Science Officer Bay remained interested in the human data. Something about their fleet design seemed unusual to her, oddly efficient in ways she couldn't quite identify, but such thoughts were quickly forgotten as more pressing concerns took priority. None of the council members gave the humans another thought that day. The tiny fleet was just another minor curiosity in a vast galaxy of wonders. They would remember this day later, the day they laughed at humans, and many would come to regret it. Ambassador Park adjusted his ceremonial collar as the massive alien vessel docked with Earth's orbital station. The great ship, nearly 5 kilometers long, made Earth's largest orbital platform look tiny in comparison. Its dark metal hull reflected the stars, breaking the light into strange patterns that no human engineering could achieve. As head of Earth's diplomatic corps, Park had prepared extensively for this first official contact. He had studied all available information about the Galactic Council for months. His team had created countless simulations of potential reactions and responses. "Remember," he told Admiral Kim, who stood beside him in her formal Navy uniform, "they expect us to be intimidated." Admiral Kim nodded slightly. She was a small woman with a calm face that hid years of battlefield experience. Her dark eyes showed no fear as they watched the docking clamps secure the alien vessel. "Let them expect what they want," she replied quietly. "Earth has faced worse odds before." The station's artificial gravity shifted slightly as the connection was made. The circular airlock door began to open with a soft hiss. Park stood tall, aware that this moment would be recorded in human history forever. The alien delegation emerged through the expanding doorway. They moved with strange grace, their bodies unlike anything evolved on Earth. Leading them was Commander Tay, whose crystalline exoskeleton glittered under the station lights. Each movement sent rainbow reflections dancing across the walls. His forearms remained perfectly still at his sides, while his upper body towered over the humans. His expression was one of poorly concealed disdain. The 6 eyes arranged in a circle on his face blinked in different patterns as he surveyed the modest human welcome party. "We welcome the Galactic Council's representatives," Park said with a formal bow. He kept his voice steady and warm, showing the proper respect without a hint of submission. Tai's translator, a small device attached to his chest plate, produced a clicking sound before converting his response into human language. "We have come to evaluate your application." The artificial voice sounded flat, but the arrogance in Tai's posture was clear enough. "Though I must say, after seeing your fleet specifications, this may be a brief visit." Several members of his entourage made sounds that the translators didn't convert. Park recognized them as laughter. Admiral Kim smiled politely. Her eyes never left Tai's face. "We look forward to showing you our capabilities, limited though they may seem." "Indeed," said Tai, his crystalline form catching the light as he tilted his head. "Your species has achieved faster-than-light travel remarkably quickly, though your implementation seems primitive." Park gestured toward the corridor leading to the station's main hall. "We have prepared a welcome ceremony. After that, we would be honored to give you a tour of our facilities." As they walked, the alien delegation kept a noticeable distance from the humans. One of Tai's assistants was constantly scanning the surroundings with a small device. "Your atmosphere is breathable, but only just," Tai commented. "The oxygen levels are quite high. We've adjusted the station's environment to match Council standards," Park explained. "Is it uncomfortable?" "It is tolerable," Tai replied, his eyes focused on a window showing Earth below. "Your homeworld seems quite blue, mostly water." Admiral Kim nodded. 71% water coverage. "Interesting," said Tai. "Most spacefaring species evolve on drier worlds. Water worlds typically produce excellent swimmers, not space travelers." The main hall doors opened to reveal a modest but elegant reception. Human representatives from every continent stood waiting. The walls displayed images of Earth's greatest achievements. Tai paused at the entrance. "You understand, Ambassador Park, that membership in the Galactic Council requires certain minimum standards. Military capability is one of those standards." Park smiled. "We understand the requirements, Commander Tai, yet you present only 12 capital ships. The smallest council member maintains at least 100. Admiral Kim's voice remained calm. "Quality often matters more than quantity, Commander. We believe our approach has certain advantages." Tai's crystalline body shimmered as he made a sound his translator didn't convert. It sounded like disbelief. "We shall see, Admiral. We shall see." 2 weeks later, the Council's emergency broadcast interrupted all communications across 3 sectors. The alert tone caused screens on thousands of ships to flash red. From luxury cruisers to cargo haulers, everyone received the same message. "Pirate raids along the Hyunjae corridor have increased by 300%, announced Minister Choi, his grey face looking even more grim than usual. His wide eyes blinked slowly as he continued reading from his prepared statement. All vessels are advised to avoid the region. Trade routes should be redirected until further notice. The announcement ended without mentioning any council response to the threat. This was unusual. The council typically promised swift military action against pirate groups. The silence was noticed by many. On the bridge of the ESS Resolute, Captain Lee reviewed the intelligence reports. Her ship orbited Earth, having just completed the diplomatic tour for the council representatives. The Resolute wasn't large by galactic standards, but its sleek black hull housed technology that few outside of Earth's military had seen. Captain Lee's finger traced the reported pirate attacks on her display. The pattern was clear to her trained eye. This wasn't random. These attacks targeted specific shipping lanes, ones recently opened to human vessels. The Council's doing nothing. She asked her first officer, looking up from the display. Commander Yoon stood at attention beside her chair. His expression remained professional, but his voice carried a hint of frustration. They've offered to send 50 ships in about 3 weeks, he replied. Apparently their nearest battle group is engaged in training exercises. Captain Lee's eyes narrowed. The timing seemed too convenient. She tapped her fingers on the armrest of her command chair, thinking, "Interesting that these pirate attacks began shortly after our application to the Council," she said quietly. Commander Yoon nodded. "And they're specifically targeting routes our merchants have begun using." The bridge remained silent as the captain continued studying the reports. The main view screen showed Earth spinning slowly below them, peaceful and blue against the blackness of space. "The Council representatives are still in the system, aren't they?" Lee asked suddenly. "Yes, Captain. Their vessel is currently touring Mars colony." Captain Lee nodded thoughtfully. "Contact Admiral Kim. Tell him I'm taking Resolute, Dauntless, and Indomitable to handle the situation." Commander Yoon's eyebrows rose in surprise. 3 ships against an estimated 20 pirate vessels, he questioned, double-checking the intelligence. Estimate on his tablet. "That should be sufficient," Lee replied with quiet confidence. She stood from her chair and straightened her uniform. "And make sure the Council representatives know where we're going. Invite them to observe if they wish." Within hours, the 3 human warships were ready. They weren't the largest ships in Earth's small fleet, but they were the fastest. As they prepared to depart Earth orbit, a communication came through. "Captain Lee." Admiral Kim's face appeared on the view screen. "Commander Tae has requested permission to send an observer vessel to monitor your operation." Lee smiled. "How kind of them to show interest. Please tell them they're welcome to watch." "Are you sure about this, Captain?" the Admiral asked, his voice low. "Taking only 3 ships feels like a risk." "It's not a risk, sir," Lee replied. "It's an opportunity." As the 3 Earth ships accelerated out of the solar system, a Council observation vessel followed at a distance. On its bridge, Commander Tae watched with mild interest. "The humans are sending only 3 vessels?" he asked his tactical officer. "Against a pirate force of that size?" "Yes, Commander. They appear to be confident." Tae's crystalline form shimmered with amusement. "Record everything. The Council will find this instructive. It's unfortunate, but some species must learn their limitations the hard way." The small human flotilla jumped to faster-than-light speed, disappearing in flashes of light. The Council vessel followed, its crew expecting to document a quick and humbling defeat for the upstart humans. None of them suspected they were about to witness something that would change galactic warfare forever. Military analyst June watched from the Council observation vessel as the 3 human ships approached the asteroid field where the pirates had established their base. The massive chunks of rock drifted slowly against the backdrop of stars, providing countless hiding places for the pirate fleet. June's 4-fingered hands moved quickly over his console, recording everything for the Council archives. As a junior, analyst assigned to evaluate human military capabilities, this was his first real field assignment. His grey skin reflected the blue light of the tactical display. "Sensors detect 19 pirate vessels within the asteroid field," reported the ship's AI. "All appear to be combat-ready." General Han floated into the observation deck, his anti-gravity harness humming softly. As one of the Council's veteran military commanders, He had been added to the diplomatic mission once the humans announced their intention to engage the pirates. "I arrived just in time, I see," Han said, his three eyes blinking in sequence. "The humans are about to learn a painful lesson about galactic combat." On the main screen, they could see the three Earth ships approaching the edge of the asteroid field. The vessels were small but sleek, their black hulls absorbing rather than reflecting light. "They're splitting up," June noted with surprise, pointing at the tactical display. The three human ships were breaking formation, each heading in a different direction. Standard doctrine would be to maintain formation for maximum firepower. His superior, General Han, shook his head, his facial tentacles swaying with the motion. "They clearly don't understand basic space combat. Every military academy in the galaxy teaches concentrated force as the first principle of engagement." The observation vessel's crew watched as the human ships disappeared among the asteroids. For several minutes, nothing happened. The pirates maintained their positions, clearly aware of the approaching threat but unsure where to focus their attention. "What are they waiting for?" General Han muttered. "Their hesitation only gives the pirates time to prepare." Suddenly, the smallest human vessel, identified as ESS Indomitable, accelerated from behind a medium-sized asteroid. It moved at surprising speed, firing what appeared to be simple kinetic weapons at the nearest pirate vessel. The shots landed with precision, damaging but not destroying the target. "A foolish approach," Han commented. "They've revealed their position and failed to eliminate even one enemy." 5 pirate ships immediately broke formation, turning to pursue the seemingly vulnerable human vessel. Their weapons fired, creating streaks of energy that the Indomitable barely avoided with sharp, twisting maneuvers. "The human ship is retreating," June observed, "but it's not using its full speed. It's almost like—" "It's drawing them out," General Han interrupted, his voice showing the first hint of interest. As the pirates chased the Indomitable deeper into a narrow channel between 2 massive asteroids, the other 2 human vessels, suddenly, emerged from behind separate rocks. The ESS Resolute and ESS Dauntless had positioned themselves perfectly, catching the pirate ships in a deadly crossfire. The human vessels fired in coordinated bursts. Each shot hit with surprising accuracy, despite the distance and moving targets. One by one, the pirate ships began exploding in brilliant flashes of light. "That's not in any tactical manual I've studied," June admitted, as the remains of the pirate vessels drifted between the asteroids. "They used themselves as bait, deliberately appearing weak to draw the enemy into a trap." Before General Han could respond, the remaining pirate ships launched a coordinated attack on the Resolute. Instead of retreating or standing its ground, the human ship turned off its engines and allowed itself to drift with the natural movement of the asteroid field, becoming nearly impossible to track accurately. Meanwhile, the Indomitable had changed course again, somehow managing to circle behind 3 more pirate vessels without being detected. Its weapons fired simultaneously, disabling the pirates' engines before they could react. General Han leaned forward, his interest fully piqued. His military career spanned 2 centuries, but he had never seen tactics like these. "What exactly are we watching?" he asked, his voice quieter now. "These humans fight nothing like any species I've encountered." June checked his readings again. "Sir, I'm detecting unusual energy patterns from the human ships. I believe they're using the asteroids to mask some kind of stealth technology." "Impossible," Han replied, but his tone lacked conviction. "No species has developed effective stealth in space." As they watched, the human ships continued their strange dance through the asteroid field, splitting up only to regroup at unexpected moments, using the natural cover to maximum advantage. Within 30 minutes, half the pirate fleet had been disabled or destroyed without a single human ship taking significant damage. "These are not the actions of an inferior military," General Han finally admitted. "The Council may have seriously misjudged these humans." "You still don't understand us," Admiral Kim explained to Ambassador Tay during their 4th meeting. They sat in the observation room of Earth's orbital diplomatic station. Through the large window, the blue planet rotated slowly below them. The alien diplomat had requested an explanation for the recent human victories despite their numerical disadvantage. The defeat of the pirate fleet had caused quite a stir in the Galactic Council. 3 human ships had destroyed or captured 19 pirate vessels without suffering serious damage. Ambassador Tay's crystalline form caught the light as he shifted uncomfortably in his specially designed chair. His 6 eyes blinked in different patterns, a sign of confusion in his species. "Your tactics defied all established military doctrine," Tay said. His translator converted his clicks and whistles into smooth human language. "General Han's report suggests your captains acted independently, without central command. This is unusual." Admiral Kim nodded. He was a calm man with grey at his temples. His dark eyes had seen many battles before humanity reached the stars. "While your civilizations evolved toward specialization and peace, Earth's history is written in conflict," Kim continued. He spoke slowly to ensure the translator caught every word. "Our ships aren't small because we lack technology. They're small because we've learned efficiency." He tapped a control panel on the table. A holographic display appeared between them, showing images from Earth's long history of warfare. Ancient. Armies clashed with swords and shields. Tanks rolled across muddy battlefields. Fighter jets screamed through the sky. Submarines lurked beneath dark waters. "For thousands of years, humans fought humans," Kim explained. "We had no external enemies, so we became our own challengers." Tay's crystalline body shimmered as he processed this information. "Most council species achieved global peace before developing space travel," he admitted. "War became inefficient once unified government was established." "We took a different path," Kim said. He gestured to more recent images: guerrilla fighters hiding in jungles, small special forces teams operating behind enemy lines. Often, our most effective warriors were those who could do more with less. "But this goes against mathematical logic," Tay insisted. "Greater numbers and firepower should ensure victory." Kim smiled slightly. He brought up footage from the recent battle with the pirates. It showed the human ships using the asteroid field for cover, appearing and disappearing as they struck from unexpected angles. "For us, adaptation isn't a choice. It's survival," Kim said. "Each of our captains can make independent decisions. They don't wait for orders from above when situations change rapidly." Tay's translator made a sound of surprise. "You permit your subordinates such freedom? This creates chaos." "It creates flexibility," Kim corrected. He showed more battle footage. "Each ship can perform multiple roles. The Resolute acted as both attacker and defender during different phases of the battle. The Indomitable served as bait, then became the primary striker." The Admiral highlighted specific moments where human ships changed tactics mid-battle, adapting instantly to the pirates' movements. "In your military, what would happen if communications were cut during battle?" Kim asked. Tay's body stiffened. "Ships would follow the last received orders until new commands arrived." "Our ships continue the mission using their best judgment," Kim explained. "Captain Lee didn't need to ask permission to split her forces. She saw an opportunity and took it." The Admiral's finger traced the path of the smallest human ship as it weaved between asteroids on the display. "Your ships are built for specific purposes: battleships, carriers, destroyers. Ours must be able to fulfill any role required." Tay was silent for a long moment. "And your crews?" he finally asked. "And our crews?" Kim smiled, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "They expect the unexpected. From their first day of training, we place them in impossible situations. We teach them that adapting to chaos is more valuable than memorizing procedures." The alien diplomat's crystalline form seemed to dim slightly as he considered this information. "The Council has misjudged humanity," he admitted. "What you lack in numbers, you make up for in unpredictability." "A fair assessment," Kim agreed, "though I would call it resourcefulness." As they continued their discussion, Earth completed another rotation below them. Tay found himself watching the blue planet with new eyes, wondering what other surprises these strange humans might have in store. The emergency signal from Colony Hawking came at 0300 hours. The alert tone woke duty officers across Earth's defense network. Within minutes, the Situation Room beneath Seoul filled with bleary-eyed military leaders and government officials. "This is Governor Song. We have multiple unidentified vessels approaching. They're not responding to hails." The governor's face on the main screen showed controlled fear. Behind him, colony staff rushed about, preparing emergency measures. Colony Hawking, humanity's farthest outpost, orbited a habitable planet 20 light-years from Earth. Home to 8,000 civilians, it represented humanity's first serious attempt to settle beyond the solar system. Admiral Kim entered the room last, his uniform hastily donned. Without a word, he moved to the central console and examined the incoming data. His face remained calm, but those who knew him well noticed the tightness around his eyes. "Show me what we're dealing with," he ordered. The tactical display lit up, revealing a massive fleet approaching the colony. Hundreds of ships in tight formation, moving with clear purpose. The computer identified their energy signatures, matching them to known vessel types. Council intelligence identified them as belonging to the Ryu Dominion, one of the most powerful members of the Galactic Council, reported General Bay. Her voice remained professional despite the implications. The Ryu denied our request to establish trade routes in their sector last month, added Foreign Minister Shin. They claimed human vessels were unproven and potentially hazardous. Admiral Kim zoomed the display to examine the approaching armada. The ships moved with military precision. This was no random assembly. Their weapon systems were powered, shields active. "They're forcing our hand," he told the Earth Defense Council, which had now fully assembled. "This is a deliberate provocation. They've brought enough firepower to destroy our entire fleet." President Min entered the room, flanked by security. Despite the early hour, she appeared fully alert. She took in the tactical display with a quick glance, then turned to Admiral. "Kim, is there any chance this is a misunderstanding?" she asked, though her tone suggested she already knew the answer. "None, Madam President. The Ryu vessels have ignored all hails from Colony Hawking. They've deployed in attack formation. Their course and speed indicate hostile intent." President Min nodded gravely. "How many ships can we deploy to defend the colony?" "5, Kim replied without hesitation. The room fell silent. The only sound was the soft hum of computers and the occasional beep from monitoring systems. "They have 250 vessels, Kim continued. "Most larger than anything in our fleet." Foreign Minister Shin cleared his throat. "Perhaps we should contact the Council directly? Request intervention?" "The Council won't intervene," President Min said firmly. "This is happening with their tacit approval. They want to see how we respond." Admiral Kim's fingers moved across the display, calculating transit times and deployment options. "We can have 5 ships at Colony Hawking within 6 hours. The Resolute is already near that sector. Dauntless, Indomitable, Sentinel and Vanguard can join them." "Captain Lee is commanding the Resolute?" asked Defense Minister Park. Kim nodded. "She's already enacted emergency protocols and is moving to intercept." President Min studied the tactical display for a long moment. The red dots representing the Ryu fleet looked like a swarm of insects compared to the single blue dot of the Resolute. "If we deploy our ships and they're destroyed, Earth will be left virtually undefended," General Bay pointed out. "The Ryu could proceed directly to our solar system. If we abandon Colony Hawking, we send a message to the entire galaxy that humans can be bullied," countered Minister Park. "We might as well withdraw our council application now." President Min's eyes never left the display. "Admiral Kim, speaking not as a politician, but as a military strategist, what are our chances?" Kim's face remained impassive. "Against conventional odds, 0. We would be outnumbered 50-1. "And unconventional odds?" she pressed. For the first time since entering the room, Admiral Kim smiled slightly. "Those are the only kind humans have ever faced, Madam President." President Minnie straightened her shoulders. "Deploy all 5 ships. Inform Captain Lee she has full tactical authority." As the orders went out, the Admiral opened a secure channel to the Resolute. On the small screen, Captain Lee's face appeared, calm despite the situation. "Admiral," she acknowledged, "the colony has begun evacuations to the emergency shelters." "Help is coming, Captain, but you'll be on your own for at least 5 hours." Captain Lee nodded. "1 ship or 5? The odds don't change much against 250. "No," Admiral Kim agreed. "But you know what to do." "Yes, sir," she replied. "They expect us to fight like everyone else. We won't." Captain Lee watched from Resolute's bridge as the enormous enemy fleet approached in standard formation. The Ryu vessels arranged themselves in perfect geometric patterns, their massive ships forming an intricate, three-dimensional grid. Their hulls gleamed silver against the blackness of space, decorated with the red and gold markings of their dominion. Through the view screen, Colony Hawking was visible in the distance, a small artificial ring orbiting a blue-green planet. The colony's lights blinked as emergency protocols shifted power to defensive systems. "They're moving slowly," observed Commander Yoon from his tactical station. "They want us to see them coming." Captain Lee nodded. She stood calmly in the center of the bridge, her hands clasped behind her back. The other 4 Earth ships had arrived just minutes ago, taking positions around the colony. 5 against 250, murmured Lieutenant Park at the communications station. "They could have sent 20 ships and still overwhelmed us." "They sent so many because they're afraid," Captain Lee replied, her voice carrying across the quiet bridge. "They don't understand us, so they compensate with numbers." She turned to face her crew. 20 men and women looked back at her, their faces showing determination rather than fear. "They're still underestimating us," she told her crew. "Remember your training. Activate the Huang Protocol." The crew moved with practiced efficiency. Lieutenant Quan at the engineering station entered a complex sequence of commands. Around the bridge, screens flickered as systems reconfigured. "Huang Protocol active in 30 seconds, Quan reported. "All ships confirm readiness." On the main view screen, the other 4 human vessels glowed briefly as their hulls shifted color, becoming darker until they were barely visible against space. "The Ryu ships are broadcasting on all frequencies," Park reported. "They're ordering us to surrender the colony or be destroyed." Captain Lee smiled slightly. "No response necessary." 20 seconds to Huang activation, Quan counted down. The Ryu fleet continued its advance, spreading out to encircle the human ships and the colony. Their formation was textbook perfect, exactly what the tactical manuals would recommend for overwhelming a smaller enemy. 10 seconds. Commander Yoon's hands moved over his console, plotting attack vectors. Targeting solutions ready. 5 seconds. Captain Lee took her seat in the command chair. "Hold position until my mark." "Huang Protocol active," announced Quan. As the alien armada moved to surround the 5 human vessels, something unexpected happened. The energy signatures of the human ships fluctuated and then vanished completely. On the Ryu sensors, the 5 dots representing Earth's defenders simply disappeared. Aboard the Ryu flagship, chaos erupted on the bridge. "Impossible!" shouted Commander Ryu, his scaled skin flushing dark purple in agitation. "No cloaking technology. Here's that advanced. Find them." His crew scrambled to adjust their sensors, sweeping the area with different detection methods. Nothing appeared. "They must have jumped to light speed," suggested his second-in-command. "No jump signatures detected," countered the sensor officer. "They're still here. They must be." Commander Ryu slammed his fist on his armrest. "Maintain formation. Proceed to the colony. If the humans have fled..." His words were cut short as the bridge rocked violently. Warning alarms blared throughout the ship. "Direct hit to our aft shield generator," reported the damage control officer. "Ship K-17 reports critical engine failure." Suddenly, explosions rippled through his formation as human ships appeared and disappeared, striking with precision before fading from detection again. The Resolute materialized briefly behind the Ryu flagship, fired a concentrated beam at its propulsion system, then vanished again. Across the battlefield, the pattern repeated. The human ships appeared just long enough to fire, then faded from detection before the Ryu vessels could lock weapons. "This is impossible," Commander Ryu roared. "All ships fire in all directions." The Ryu fleet began shooting blindly, energy weapons creating a deadly web in space. But they hit nothing but vacuum, and occasionally their own ships. The humans were fighting as no species had fought before. Without formation, without following established rules of engagement, each ship operating independently, yet somehow coordinated. The Huang Protocol wasn't just advanced stealth technology, it also included a communication system undetectable by council methods. Captain Lee's voice reached all 5 human vessels simultaneously. "Phase 2. Initialize lightning strikes." The human ships shifted tactics, now appearing in multiple places at once, sensor ghosts confusing the Ryu targeting systems. When the real ships struck, they hit vital systems with surgical precision. Within an hour, 30 Ryu vessels had been disabled, without a single human ship taking significant damage. The perfect formation of the alien fleet had dissolved into disarray as ships maneuvered desperately, trying to protect themselves from an enemy they couldn't see or predict. The Galactic Council chamber erupted in chaos as the battle footage played on the massive holographic display. Representatives from 23 species shouted over each other, some standing from their seats, others pounding on their consoles. The serene atmosphere that usually filled the ancient chamber had vanished completely. The recording showed human vessels appearing and disappearing around the massive Ryu fleet, striking with incredible precision before vanishing again. Most shocking was the final tally. 5 human ships had disabled or destroyed 78 Ryu vessels without taking significant damage. The remaining Ryu ships had retreated in disarray. "We've been deceived," shouted Delegate Mock, her facial tentacles rigid with anger. "The humans concealed their true capabilities. This is a violation of application protocols." High Chancellor Kang raised his 6-fingered hands, trying to restore order. "One at a time, we must approach this rationally." Minister Choi stepped forward, his grey skin glistening under the chamber lights. As head of Council Intelligence, his words carried special weight. The chamber quieted somewhat as he moved to the central platform. "My agency has completed its analysis," he announced, displaying new intelligence on the secondary screens around the room. "The humans never revealed their full military capacity. The diplomatic fleet we mocked was merely their forward deployment." He gestured, and the display shifted to show technical schematics of the human vessels. Their ships utilize a previously unknown method of energy manipulation. They can absorb sensor waves rather than reflect them, becoming effectively invisible to our detection systems. But their technological innovations are beyond anything we anticipated, interrupted Science Director Bayek, unable to contain herself. The elderly scientist hobbled forward on her mechanical support legs, her compound eyes fixed on the technical data. "Their ships combine technologies we've always considered incompatible." She highlighted specific sections of the schematics. "Look here, they've merged quantum shielding with phase shift propulsion. Every engineering academy teaches that these systems interfere with each other. Yet the humans have solved the integration problem." The chamber fell silent as the council members studied the displays. The implications were becoming clear to everyone. Their tactical systems process battlefield information at rates our strategists cannot match, continued Director Bayek. "The coordination between their vessels indicates a neural interface command structure that allows instant communication without detectable signals." General Han, who had witnessed the earlier battle against the pirates, stepped forward. "More concerning than their technology is their approach to warfare. Each human captain operates independently, making tactical decisions without central command. They fight as individuals within a collective strategy, a contradiction our military doctrine cannot account for." Elder Suk, the oldest member of the council, rose slowly from his seat. His ancient voice somehow carried throughout the vast chamber without amplification. The room fell completely silent out of respect. "I have seen many species rise and fall during my 3 centuries on this council," he said, his 4 arms gesturing gracefully. "But never have I witnessed such a fundamental misunderstanding as ours regarding the humans." He moved to the central platform, his steps slow but determined. "We laughed at their tiny fleet, not understanding that humans measure power differently than we do." Elder Suk pointed to the battle footage, now frozen on an image of a human ship disappearing from sensors. "We count our strength in numbers of vessels, in size of weapons. Humans count theirs in adaptability, in efficiency." The ancient diplomat turned to face the full council. "Consider how they evolved. Their homeworld is 70% water, yet they never developed gills. Their atmosphere is oxygen-rich, yet they adapted to survive in space. They lack natural weapons or defenses, yet they dominated their planet." His compound eyes seemed to examine each council member individually. Now we know why their fleet seemed small. They never needed many ships because each vessel is a masterpiece of versatility. While we build specialized armadas, they create ships that can fulfill any role. The implications hung heavy in the air. If 5 human ships could defeat 78 specialized vessels, what could a full human fleet accomplish? Chancellor Kang finally broke the silence. The question now before this council is clear. How do we respond to humanity? They have proven themselves far more capable than we anticipated. Elder Suk's voice was soft, but reached every corner of the room. We respond with respect. The alternative would be unwise. The great doors of the Galactic Council chamber swung open silently. The assembled representatives of 23 species turned as one to watch the humans enter. Unlike their previous visit, there was no laughter, no whispered jokes about the tiny fleet. Admiral Kim and Captain Lee walked side by side down the long central aisle. They wore formal dress uniforms, deep blue with silver trim, but carried no weapons. They didn't need to. The entire galaxy had seen what 5 human ships could do against 250. The chamber was unusually full. News of the battle had spread quickly, and species that normally sent junior representatives had dispatched their highest officials. Even the reclusive Mer Collective had emerged from their gaseous home system to witness this historic moment. High Chancellor Kang stood at the central podium, his blue skin looking paler than usual. The formal words of welcome died in his throat as he watched the humans approach. How could they have been so wrong about these beings? Admiral Kim stopped at the designated spot, directly facing the council leadership. Captain Lee stood half a step behind him, her face calm and professional. The silence in the chamber was absolute. On behalf of Earth and all human colonies, I thank the Council for reconsidering our application, Admiral Kim began, his voice carrying easily through the vast space. Chancellor Kang nodded stiffly. The Council acknowledges that our initial assessment of human capabilities was incomplete. A murmur ran through the assembly at this diplomatic understatement. The Ryu Dominion representatives were notably absent, still dealing with the aftermath of their humiliating defeat. Humanity accepts membership in the Galactic Council, Kim announced to the silent assembly. His words were simple, but carried enormous weight. We come seeking peace and cooperation. Captain Lee stepped forward, then adding, Earth has no interest in domination or conquest. We ask only for equal standing and mutual respect. The formal ceremony proceeded quickly after that. Documents were signed, official recognitions exchanged. Throughout it all, the council representatives watched the humans with new eyes, some with fear, others with curiosity, but all with respect. As the ceremony concluded, Admiral Kim and Captain Lee prepared to depart. They had barely reached the grand archway when Delegate Kang hurried after them, away from the ears of the other representatives. A moment, please, he said, glancing around to ensure they weren't overheard. Admiral Kim turned, raising an eyebrow. Yes, Delegate. Kang's 6 fingers twisted nervously together. I must know, he said quietly. If those 12 ships were just your diplomatic corps, how large is your actual fleet? For the first time since entering the council chamber, Admiral Kim smiled. It was a gentle expression, but something in it made Delegate Kang step back slightly. That would be classified information, Delegate. But I can tell you this. We sincerely hope the galaxy never needs to find out. Captain Lee's face remained perfectly neutral, but her eyes held a hint of amusement as they departed the council building. 3 months later, at the formal integration ceremony on Earth, representatives from all council species watched in awe as 100 human ships performed precision maneuvers above the blue planet. The vessels moved in perfect formation, their black hulls gleaming in the sunlight. Are these all your military vessels? Asked Elder Suk, who had been chosen as special envoy for the occasion. President Min smiled diplomatically. These are the ships currently assigned to ceremonial duties. The rest are attending to their regular responsibilities throughout human space. Elder Suk's compound eyes blinked rapidly. I see. That evening at the diplomatic reception, the topic of the Ryu defeat came up inevitably. A junior diplomat made the mistake of asking Commander Tay if he had expected such an outcome. The crystalline alien's form dimmed slightly with embarrassment. "We all made the same error," he admitted. "We saw the size of their fleet rather than understanding its quality. We counted ships instead of capabilities." "Her natural mistake," Admiral Kim said graciously, joining their conversation. "Different evolutionary paths lead to different strengths. And different blindnesses," added Tay. "We built our civilizations on specialization, massive fleets with ships designed for single purposes. You built yours on adaptation, fewer ships that can do anything." Kim nodded. "Necessity shaped our approach. When you have limited resources, you learn to make each one count." As the reception continued, delegates from across the galaxy mingled with humans, asking questions, establishing relationships and, most importantly, revising their understanding of their new council members. The council never laughed at humans, again. Instead, they studied them, learned from them, and, in the quiet briefing rooms of their military academies, developed new strategies should humans ever become enemies rather than allies. But the humans, true to their word, proved to be valuable partners in galactic affairs. Their unique perspective often provided solutions to problems other species couldn't solve. Their adaptability helped navigate diplomatic crises that once seemed insurmountable. What began with laughter ended with respect, perhaps the most powerful force in the galaxy after all.